Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We're here again to pull out those critical knowledge nuggets from your source material. Could be articles, research, maybe really specific accounts like today's, and give you that actionable blueprint for living better.
That's right. And today, yeah, we're definitely not talking theory. We've got source material that gives this incredibly detailed, almost, forensic look at the full Sunday routines of two people. Let's call them Sarah and Johnny. It covers everything from the moment they wake up right until they turn out the light.
So our mission today, it's pretty straightforward. We want to extract let's say, the engineering behind these routines. We're trying to move past just the vague idea of relaxing on a Sunday.
Just chilling out.
Exactly. We want to pinpoint the specific intentional actions, the rituals, really, that create a definite break from the work week. Things that lead to maximum rest, real disconnection, and this is key, preparing for a low-stress Monday morning.
And what we saw straight away is that, okay, Sarah's routine, it looks quite different from Johnny's on the surface. One is more about quiet solitude at home. The other involves community engagement, going out.
Right.
But the core mechanism, the thing driving both, it's intentionality. A successful Sunday, it turns out, isn't just passive recovery. It's really about setting up strict boundaries, temporal boundaries, and creating this really dramatic cognitive contrast to the weekday rush. So we're hunting for those high-quality patterns of, let's call it, deep cognitive recharge and meaningful connection.
Okay, let's dive into that, starting right at the beginning, the foundational step, the slow start. This seems to be where that contrast really kicks in, and it starts with, well, the glorious lack of an alarm clock.
Yes, no alarm.
Both Sarah and Johnny were, religious about this. The rule was simple. Wake up slowly when your body tells you it's ready. Which for them, it seemed to be pretty reliably around 8 a.m., maybe even 9 a.m. sometimes.
And it's really more than just sleeping in, It's like a biological reset. The immediate plus of ditching the beep, 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 is you sidestep that jolt of anxiety, that immediate cortisol spike, which is, the body's main stress response. By letting your body just kind of emerge from sleep naturally, they swap that morning panic for, silence. Or like Johnny mentioned, maybe just hearing the sound of the world outside.
That sounds amazing, honestly. But let me just push back on that a little. If I sleep until 9:00 on Sunday, isn't that shock of waking up at, say, 6:00 or 6:03 on Monday going to feel even worse? Am I not kind of creating a bigger clash internally?
That's a really common worry. I get that question a lot. But actually, the research on sleep debt, it sort of suggests the opposite. Provided, and this is important, provided this isn't your routine every single day.
Okay.
By letting your body catch up on that, accumulated sleep debt from the week, you significantly lower the baseline stress level you're carrying over. So think of Sunday morning as an act of damage repair.
Damage repair.
They're choosing repair and recovery over rigid consistency 7 days a week. This slow wake up, it's really the first deliberate step in building that temporal boundary we talked about, that mental wall between the weekend and the weekday.
I see. So it's about reclaiming something lost during the week.
Right.
Okay, so once they're actually up, out of bed, the rituals that follow seem really gentle, focused on immediate self-care. The actions themselves sound simple, brushing teeth, drinking a glass of water, but you're saying the purpose is more sophisticated.
Exactly. Brushing your teeth sounds pretty mundane for a deep dive.
A little bit.
But the key here is making that first activity of the day something non-digital, a self-care ritual that immediately stops you from falling into that catastrophic weekday pattern. Yeah. Grab the phone, check the emails, boom, you're instantly back in the work context.
Right, before you're even fully awake sometimes.
Totally. And Sarah, she'd immediately open her curtains, let the sunshine in. That's an immediate sensory cue. Johnny, he put on calm music while he was making his coffee, a big mug, apparently. These aren't chores. They're like little ritualized signals telling the brain, hey, we are not working today.
Okay. And while the coffee's brewing, they both seem to weave in some light physical prep, like gentle stretching. And again, it sounds like they deliberately avoided a full-on workout, no heavy cardio or HICC session.
And that choice, that deliberation, it's critical. Because think about it. An intense workout, it triggers adrenaline, it puts you straight into go mode, right, which completely contradicts the goal of rest here.
Yeah, wait.
Gentle stretching is about easing the body awake, not pushing it hard. And then we hit what you called the firewall earlier, that crucial moment of digital separation. Both sources, they were really explicit about stressing the need to avoid work emails, work messages.
This is that cognitive self-preservation step you mentioned. So if they even glanced at their phone, it was strictly for like quick personal messages, nothing work-related.
Exactly. And this is where we can talk about context switching. Every single time you open a work email, your brain has to do this really complex switch, right? It drags your mind right back into professional problem-solving mode.
Ugh, yeah.
So by blocking that activity completely, you're essentially protecting your cognitive resources. That firewall, it lets the mental space that you created with the slow start actually, breathe.
Yeah.
It ensures the morning stays defined by relaxation, not by that lingering workplace anxiety creeping in.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Protecting the headspace. So once they've successfully put up that firewall, the next ritual seems to elevate things from just basic needs to a real experience.
Yeah.
And that's the specialness of Sunday breakfast. We're definitely leaving the quick weekday yogurt and fruit behind here.
Oh, yeah. We're entering the realm of the ritualized feast, as you put it. It's that shift from just, fueling the body quickly to actually enjoying an experience.
Right. Sarah's routine had, like, toast with butter and jam, scrambled eggs, some fresh fruit. Johnny went maybe a bit more indulgent. Pancakes, maple syrup, bacon, and also fresh fruit. This isn't just eating. It feels like a mini celebration.
It does. And look, that requires time. It requires intention. But let's focus not just on the what, but the how, the process of the meal. Both routines really emphasize sitting down together properly without rushing, especially if there was family around, kids involved. This was definitely not a hurried, stand-up-at-the-counter kind of meal.
And here's that simple rule that seemed to have such a huge impact. No phones at the table. Sarah specifically called this out, saying it made the breakfast feel even more special because everyone was, and this is her phrase, truly present. That simple commitment, just being present, it created this anchor of genuine connection.
Yeah, and psychologically, that's actually pretty profound. These dedicated, phone-free meal times, they act as these powerful relational anchors. By just removing the competition from digital stuff, you force the focus onto the people right there with you and the food itself. And that's a really strong relationship-building mechanism and also a stress reducer. The investment in this meal, it pays dividends, really. You get relational well-being that carries over into the week.
Okay, but I have to ask again, playing devil's advocate. Doesn't this big, delicious, maybe carb-heavy breakfast lead to that inevitable afternoon slump? If the goal is high-quality recovery, is a huge meal maybe counterproductive for energy levels later on?
It's a fair point. It's a trade-off, absolutely. But it seems like it's a trade-off they willingly accept because the psychological reward, the ritual, the pleasure, it outweighs that potential physical lag. They seem to be prioritizing the joy and the ritual of the feast over, say, perfect metabolic efficiency for the whole day. Just the knowledge that Sunday means pancakes or whatever the special meal is that provides this predictable, positive dopamine cue. It anchors the whole day in pleasure and relaxation right from the start.
Anchoring in pleasure. I like that. Okay, so following that feast, we move into what the outline calls the midday structure. And for both, it seemed to mean an immediate shift to the sofa.
Yep. Post-breakfast relaxation mode, engaged.
And the activities were deeply analog, weren't they? Reading a real book, like paper pages, listening to music, or just chatting about, small everyday things.
And this is that active avoidance again, avoiding the screen fatigue that just dominates the typical weekday, right? By choosing physical books or conversation over more digital content, they're actively managing their sensory input. They're deliberately disconnecting to make sure they're, quote, in the moment, not constantly just consuming external digital demands.
Now, this midday point, this is where their paths really diverge quite a bit. And it proves that, the Sunday blueprint really has to be customized to the individual. Sarah, she preferred that quiet solitude, staying home to just unwind. She mentioned engaging only in really light, enjoyable tasks, like watering her plants, things that felt more like caring for her space than actual work.
Right. And Johnny, he took the more external approach. He prioritized that intentional community engagement. For him, that meant going to church with his family. He described it as time for a reflection and community. And he felt this helped him feel grounded and grateful before he then shifted back into quiet relaxation later.
I wonder about that, though. Does the church option, going out, being social, having a schedule, doesn't that kind of violate the contrast rule we talked about?
Correct.
Isn't that just swapping one kind of obligation work for another kind, like a social or religious one?
Ah, that's a really key distinction to make. We need to differentiate between intentional community engagement chosen for its value versus, say, social obligation or performance pressure. Johnny's routine framed this activity as reflection, spiritual grounding. Cognitively, that's very different from like a mandatory work meeting or feeling like you have to perform socially. It provides structure, yes, but structure that isn't stressful for him. It's actually rejuvenating. So the takeaway here is really crucial. Sunday is about figuring out and customizing what genuinely makes you feel refreshed, whether that's internal quiet contemplation like Sarah or that external but still intentional community connection like Johnny. There's no single right way.
Right. It's about the why behind the activity, not just the activity itself. Okay. Moving into the afternoon proper, we hit another big tradition, the Sunday lunch. Similar to breakfast, this was framed as a highlight, a non-negotiable family tradition. Always a pretty substantial meal, always eaten together.
Yeah, and the food examples really illustrate the depth of this tradition, don't they? Roasted chicken or beef with potatoes and vegetables, maybe a barbecue in good weather. Sarah, she specifically mentions some quite traditional Brazilian dishes, things like chicken stew, pasta with sauce, often followed by dessert like fruit pie or ice cream. These are clearly not quick grab-and-go meals. They feel like deep cultural anchors of family time.
Definitely anchors.
Mm-hmm.
And after such a large, comforting meal, the routines incorporated what seems like a really critical recovery element. Sarah, for instance, she prioritized a short nap, about 30 minutes. She said it felt amazing and completely reset her afternoon.
And there's actually real science backing up that 30-minute duration. They're aiming for that sweet spot, the power nap.
Oh.
It allows the brain to recharge without dropping into those really deep sleep cycles, like stage 3 or 4 sleep.
Okay.
Because if you hit that deep sleep and then wake up, that's when you get that grogginess, sleep inertia. You actually feel more tired than before sometimes. Sticking to that 30-minute limit, it pretty much guarantees you stay in the lighter stages of rest, which results in genuine refreshment, not that fuzzy feeling.
Good tip. So if they weren't napping, the focus shifted to either gentle movement or some kind of low-stakes entertainment. We saw examples like walks in the park or just around the neighborhood, getting some fresh air and some steps in, followed by family fun, watching a movie together, maybe a documentary, or playing board games.
And all of this, it feeds directly into that concept of the protected family and bubble. Sunday, for both of them, was explicitly stated as being primarily about family time. The focus wasn't really on elaborate activities or going places necessarily. It was more about just talking about the week, connecting on a deeper level, and maintaining that sort of cozy, relaxed intimacy. They both mentioned that this slow, quality time, it actually made the whole upcoming work week feel more manageable because they were starting Monday feeling connected, feeling emotionally secure from that weekend foundation.
That makes a lot of sense. Which brings us then to the gentle transition. And arguably, this might be the most important part for many people listening, the transition to Monday. This is always the challenge, right? How do you get organized for the week ahead without completely sacrificing all that great Sunday relaxation you just built up?
Exactly. How do you bridge that gap?
And the answer from both routines was surprisingly specific and similar. The 15-minute rule.
Ah, yes, the 15-minute rule. This is just a masterclass in behavioral pre-preparation. Basically, they're tackling potential Monday morning stress head-on by using the concept of reducing decision fatigue.
Decision fatigues. Okay.
So Sarah, she dedicated about 15 minutes, usually sometime before dinner, to just quickly look at her agenda for the week, check her meetings for Monday, maybe Tuesday, and then make a very short list of the top things she needed to address first thing Monday morning.
And the goal wasn't to do the work. Right, just to clarify it.
Precisely. The stated result was feeling ready, not stressed. It was this tiny little injection of structure designed specifically to remove that cognitive burden of starting the week completely from zero, wondering, okay, what hits me first?
Right. And Johnny focused more on the physical prep side of things during his 15 minutes, organizing his work bag, making sure the laptop, notebook, charger were all in there, and also setting out his clothes for the next day.
Yeah, and think about it. Every single small decision you make on Sunday night, what to wear, where your keys are, is the laptop charged. That's a decision you don't have to make during the often high-stress chaos of Monday morning rush.
Good point.
He also mentioned doing a quick email check, but only for genuinely very important messages. And he strictly enforced a rule for himself. No long replies. Just scan, Identify if anything's critical, but don't get sucked in.
That discipline seems key. So this emphasis on really quick, targeted organizational prep, it feels like the difference between sort of gently sliding into Monday versus, crashing into it head first.
Exactly. It preserves that Sunday feeling right up until the end by making sure your Monday morning doesn't immediately become this high-pressure scramble for information and items.
It allows the transition to be more like a gentle incline, maybe, rather than a sheer cliff face.
That's a perfect analogy, a gentle incline. Exactly.
So finally, we reach the end of the day, the quiet wind down. Dinner, for both, was intentionally light, maybe leftovers from the big lunch, or just a simple soup, preparing the body for rest. Followed by the final relaxation rituals, they both seem to favor a warm shower or bath.
And the warm shower or bath, it actually serves a biological purpose too, beyond just feeling nice and clean. It raises your core body temperature slightly while you're in there. Then when you get out, the subsequent cooling off period, that actually signals to your body that it's time for rest. It helps align with your natural circadian rhythms for sleep.
Interesting. I didn't know that cooling after was the signal.
Okay.
And then the screen avoidance rule comes back one last time. Reading a book in bed again, a physical book, or listening to a calm podcast, maybe some relaxing music.
Yeah.
And the key rule seemed to be aiming for a reasonably early bedtime, 10 p.m., maybe 10:30 p.m., to guarantee enough sleep before Monday. And they specifically mentioned no intense thrillers, nothing too stimulating right before closing their eyes.
Right. They're essentially curating their final thoughts a day, making sure that the very last input before they drift off to sleep is something peaceful, something calm. So if we step back and look at these two blueprints, Sarah's and Johnny's, the core lesson seems to be that Sunday isn't just this void, this empty time to be filled with, random time-killing activities.
Right.
It's actually a container for intentional rest, for deep connection, and for these very focused, slow activities.
It really feels like it's positioned as your dedicated day to be truly present for yourself, and if you have family, present for them too. And the implication is a good Sunday, a well-managed Sunday, is maybe the single greatest guarantee of starting Monday well.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. The message is clear. Don't let Monday steal your Sunday. Don't spend Sunday evening dreading or already working on Monday. Prioritize those activities, whatever they are for you, that bring that deep psychological peace and joy. Because ultimately, a refreshed mind and a rested body, they set you up for success far more effectively than any last-minute cramming or worrying possibly can.
That's a powerful takeaway. And we clearly saw in both examples how setting aside just those 15 minutes on Sunday night, it significantly reduced the shadow, the specter of Monday morning stress. So here's a final thought for you, the listener, to maybe chew on this week. It relates directly to that idea of reducing decision fatigue. Think about your typical Monday morning. What's the highest friction activity? The one thing that usually causes you a bit of panic or makes you run late.
Yeah, everyone has one.
Right. So identify that friction point. Now, what is one small non-work task related to that specific thing that you could realistically move from Monday morning to Sunday night? Something small, maybe takes 5 minutes. Decide what it is now, try it this Sunday, and see if you can make Monday feel like a small victory before it even truly begins.